So software was the original inspiration for the Scrum framework because there was a need for a better way of doing software. But a dominant question, and I think is very relevant and has been for quite some time, is applying the Scrum framework in a field that is not software related. So let's just throw a few examples out there. Marketing, for instance. Yeah, there might be a website team within a marketing company, something like that, but it's not a software thing. It's bigger than that. Or perhaps curriculum development. That's shown up a few times. Curriculum development isn't necessarily software. How do you do that with Scrum? Or maybe even process design. Can process design be uh, um, made more efficient with Scrum? Anyway, a few examples. What do you think? What are some thoughts, Rob?
I love this question. I mean, frankly, if you go back to the revisions in the latest Scrum Guide, November of 2022, wait, 2022? It was 2020, right? I'm
2020.
forgetting
Yeah.
when I'm
It's
forgetting when the
like, which
revisions were done.
edition did I just miss? Yeah.
Right. November 2020, a new version came out. They've removed all software references from the Scrum Guide. It's very clear that it's not just about software anymore. And here's where they're going with that. Basically, any complex activity or problem that you're solving, Scrum can help you. How do I know if I'm working on something complex? Here's how you know. I go to my sprint review with my water bottle. I keep using my water bottle lately as an example. And I say, hey, stakeholders, what do you think? I'm done with that container of liquid that you asked for. I'm going to get like 50 different opinions. Somebody's going to say, oh, I don't like your blue. Other people are going to say, oh, it's too big. It won't fit in my cup holder in my car. Another person's going to say, well, what about this thing? What do I do with that? What's with the rubber thing? That's stupid. And now I've got to show them the benefits, and I'm going to get different opinions from everybody. If that's your world, Scrum is your friend. Scrum sets up the sprint review. It sets up this environment where you make some assumptions, you try something, you solve a goal like create a container for liquids, and then you present it to your stakeholders in a short cycle, in a small batch. Don't build 10,000 of these, build one. Show it to them, get their feedback. It's done, it's usable, it holds water. And I actually had to double check that because I the other day spilled some on me.
Oh no.
And
You could
yeah,
ruin a computer doing that.
well, technically wine was in it, so that was a more interesting topic. But uh, if you're in a subjective environment where you're getting a lot of opinions, use Scrum. If what you're doing is like, well, yeah, duh, it meets my requirements, move on, then there's no benefit to a sprint review. And likely what you're doing is repeatable work, following a recipe, and Scrum might not help you as much. So, yeah, sure, it can work in marketing where there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of opinions. Learning and development, a lot of people learn different ways, a lot of subjectivity, a lot of opinions. So, that's my thought.
Scrum, complexity, they go together like a hand in a glove. If things aren't complex, Scrum isn't necessarily your framework of choice, my opinion. Now, I think people would say, hey, but even in a complicated environment in which you just need a bunch of experts, it can be super helpful. I would also agree, but I tend to lean in towards the complexity is where innovation occurs. This is where we can really find new ways of looking at the world, changing behaviors, solving new problems, not just rebuilding problems that have already been solved in a different way. So I think I'm going to lean into the complexity thing as you did. A lot of teams slide between complex problems that don't have obvious solutions to complicated environments in which there are a number of solutions, but it's more known. And so the Scrum framework can be used in any of those environments. I'll throw one other little nugget out there, and I think there's a lot of people that will feel like, what is a increment then? At the end of a sprint? What if I don't have the ability to show a container that can hold water or not hold water? Like in the instance of a process system, what does a deliverable increment look like that's potentially usable? So I've been using the terminology business value. So it could be a functional, usable thing by a customer, or it could be actually business value, something that is critical for the development of future product or even creating more efficiencies or decision making within the company itself. So R&D companies, they're kind of benchmark on this. They need to assume something and prove it true or false so they know whether or not to invest the next $1 billion. You don't want to be wrong on those bets. You want to make sure you're right on the small bets so that way when you make your major investment, your large batches, you can win instead of lose. So I might have made that more muddy than helpful. I liked your answer better.
I like winning. I like money.
Hey there. So, if you're here and this is your first time and you're interested in growing in your agility and understanding things like Scrum and other agile topics, then be sure to get started by hitting that subscribe button and also that bell. You're going to get notifications, and I don't want you to miss out on a thing.